So it all started 1 year ago when dungeons just popped up out of nowhere across the entire globe. Suddenly, these nasty monsters started crawling out, and since regular guns and tanks couldn't even scratch them, the world went straight into panic mode. But then, people started realizing something super weird about these dungeons and the freaks inside them. Turns out, this whole mess was basically a carbon copy of that massive MMORPG, Vanaheim Online, like the game just glitched into real life. Then some lucky folks started awakening, turning into players with special jobs who could actually stand a chance against these monsters. These players got their own unique roles and started teaming up in guilds to hold the line against the invasion. Things got real serious when we see Baltzapfel, one of the 5 high demons, looking like he's ready to end the world. The Order of the Radiant Spear, a platinum-ranked guild, is stepping up to the plate, fully hyped to take down this boss. This cutie is feeling pretty confident, talking about how their ranking is gonna skyrocket and they're already planning a celebratory barbecue. The team charges in with fire and steel, but that demon is already charging up some purple energy that looks like it's gonna hurt a lot. Our girl is totally caught off guard as that purple energy starts messing with her fire magic. And boom, one of the guys gets absolutely wrecked by the demon's blast. Talk about a rude awakening. The warrior is straight up panicking, realizing they're way out of their league against this monster. This old geezer Baltzapfel is just chilling, acting like he's bored and wants to toy with them like a cat playing with a mouse. Suddenly, the scenery shifts into this hellish landscape, and our boy is looking around like, wait, what just happened? He's completely lost, standing in the middle of nowhere and wondering where the rest of his squad went. Baltzapfel looms over him, mocking humanity for being too blind to see through his little mind games. Our guy is sweating bullets, realizing that if they don't figure this out, they're basically toast. But then, out of nowhere, this mysterious dude in a fancy hat shows up, looking cool as a cucumber. He just casually calls out the demon, complimenting the illusion like he's a critic at an art gallery, absolute madlad energy. This mysterious dude in the hat is totally unfazed, just asking the demon if he can project his illusions anywhere he wants. Baltzapfel is actually shook, looking down at this guy like he's just some annoying bug that somehow figured out his trick. The demon's claw twitches, and you just know he's about to unleash some serious pain on our boy. Meanwhile, the warrior from the Radiant Spear is totally confused, wondering if the nightmare is finally over or if he's still trapped. He's squinting hard, trying to process if what he's seeing is real or just another layer of the demon's mind games. Then he spots the masked guy and is like, wait, who the heck is this random and how did he even get here? This guy is acting like he's at a flea market, checking out the demon's loot and acting all impressed by the shiny artifacts. He's literally touching the demon's stuff, wondering out loud if a human could actually use this gear to mess around with. Suddenly, he notices a pulsing purple orb of pure chaos, and he realizes the demon is cooking up something nasty. The warrior is losing his mind, screaming at the guy to stop playing around because they're in a high-level zone where even pros get wiped. Our masked guy is just grinning like he's having the time of his life, totally unfazed by the literal hellscape around him. Baltzapfel is getting annoyed, basically telling our boy that knowing the trick doesn't stop the pain from being real. The demon goes full-on villain mode, summoning a massive volcanic eruption that's turning the whole area into a literal oven. The heat is getting so intense that even our mysterious guy is starting to feel the burn, and you know it's bad when the cool guy starts sweating. But then he has that aha moment, realizing exactly how the demon is pulling off this high-level magic trick. He points out that the demon is just using illusions to make rocks look like something else, but the actual impact is still hitting like a truck. He's basically walking through the illusion, confirming that the demon is feeding the same fake reality to everyone trapped inside. He holds up that glowing purple orb, straight up calling out the demon for using a demonic heritage item to cheat the system. Baltzapfel's face says it all. He's actually shocked that some random adventurer just exposed his secret sauce. The demon isn't playing anymore, charging up a massive blast of pure chaos energy to wipe our guy off the map for good. Our masked guy is absolutely loving this, basically telling the demon he's ready to jump into the chaos. He activates his playful spirit skill, and man, the way he handles that purple orb is just pure flex. Suddenly, he's everywhere, creating a bunch of copies of himself to keep the demon guessing. Baltzapfel is losing his cool, totally baffled that his precious artifact got hijacked by some random adventurer. The demon is fuming, gathering up all that dark energy to wipe the floor with our boy once and for all. A massive blast of light erupts, and for a second you'd think it's game over for our masked hero. But the smoke clears, and the demon realizes he completely whiffed his shot. Talk about an embarrassing miss. Our guy just smirks, standing there like he's the main character in a high-stakes thriller, asking who really missed the point. He starts breaking down the demon's strategy, pointing out that those flashy illusions were just a stall tactic to hide a long cooldown. Baltzapfel is straight up triggered, looking like he's about to lose his mind because this dude is calling him out on his own home turf. Our boy is acting like he's just hanging out at the park, casually telling the warrior he totally blanked on bringing his gear. He doesn't even sweat it, just asks the guy if he can borrow his weapon for a hot second. With a flick of his wrist, he pulls off his mimicry skill, straight up cloning the spear right out of thin air. Then he busts out the divine dice, and you know things are about to get chaotic with that glowing golden cube. He's got the spear in his hand now, looking like he's ready to turn the tables on this demon. He winds up for the throw, shouting that it's go time while the energy crackles around him. He launches that spear with insane speed, turning the whole room into a blur of light and pure adrenaline. The spear slams right into the demon's magical barrier, and you can see Baltzapfel actually wincing from the impact. That strike hits like a freight train, carving through the demon's defenses and leaving him wide open. Baltzapfel is looking absolutely shook, totally unable to believe he's getting wrecked by such a basic-looking move. Our mysterious masked guy finally drops the act and shows his true face, and honestly, he's looking pretty sharp. He's totally vibing, basically saying that if you aren't having a blast while fighting for your life, then what's even the point? The warrior from the Radiant Spear is standing there with his jaw on the floor, realizing this dude just soloed a high demon like it was nothing. He's staring at the floating interface in total disbelief, trying to wrap his head around what kind of crazy power this guy is packing. The screen literally spells it out for him. The guy's job is gamer, which sounds like something straight out of a classic RPG. The warrior is losing his mind because he's never even heard of a job that lets you treat reality like a video game. We get a quick trip down memory lane, showing our guy back in the day, just another corporate drone stuck in a boring office job. He was just a regular dude blending into the crowd, completely clueless about the wild, supernatural life he was about to fall into. It's wild to see him looking so tired and dead inside, having absolutely zero interest in the concept of fun or games before his awakening. But then everything flipped. He snagged that gamer job, and now he's out here speedrunning through dungeons like he's the main character of the entire world. We're heading back a year, right to the start of the madness when the world was still just normal. Meet our guy, Yuma Anno, looking like he hasn't slept in a decade, just another corporate drone grinding his life away. And here's the absolute worst part of his day, his boss Tatsuka, hovering over him like a vulture looking for a reason to snap. This guy Tatsuka is literally grabbing Yuma by the hair, acting like a total power-tripping maniac over some stupid sales quota. Yuma is just trying to survive, explaining that he's already working until the last train, but this boss couldn't care less. The audacity of this guy, he's actually suggesting Yuma should be working through his weekends to get ahead, like he's some kind of robot. You can really see the toll it's taking on our boy. He's completely drained, just a shell of a person thanks to this toxic workplace. But even in that dark office, Yuma had one escape hatch, and it was the massive world of Vanaheim Online. This game was a total beast, hitting 85 million players and basically taking over the planet like a digital plague. It was all about that high-fidelity vibe, with NPCs so realistic you'd swear they were actually living their own lives in that fantasy world. Back in the day, these dungeons were all about that team-up life, forcing players to actually coordinate and use their brains to clear the content. Our boy Yuma was obsessed with the game's deep class system and the freedom to build his character exactly how he wanted. He spent so much time grinding for those rare limited edition items. They weren't just pixels to him, they were his pride and joy. For a guy stuck in the corporate meat grinder, Vanaheim Online was the only place where he felt like he was actually in control of his own life. It was his ultimate sanctuary, the one spot where he could finally breathe and escape the soul-crushing reality of his daily grind. He'd hop on with his squad, coordinating buffs and timing everything perfectly, feeling like a total legend behind the screen. He was genuinely happy, thinking he could just keep living this double life forever without any real-world drama crashing the party. But then that snake Tatsuka catches him playing, and you can just see the gears turning in his head as he decides to be a total scumbag. This boss literally forces Yuma to hand over his phone, acting like he owns the guy's entire existence, both at work and in the game. The audacity of this guy, he straight up steals Yuma's hard-earned account and gear, basically stripping away the only thing that kept our boy sane. Yuma is absolutely losing his mind, begging that scumbag boss not to delete his account because it's literally the only thing he has left. And just like that, the deed is done, the account is wiped, and our boy is left staring into the void, completely hollowed out. He's back in his room, curled up in bed, just wishing the whole world would pack it up and call it quits. The next morning rolls around and he's back in his suit, dragging his feet like a total zombie heading to the slaughterhouse. He shows up to the office, feeling like a total corporate slave, just going through the motions of a life he hates. He's stressing about his quota, terrified that if he doesn't hit those numbers, his paycheck is gonna get slashed again. But then the scene shifts, he's not at his desk anymore. He's standing in some creepy, cold dungeon hallway, totally confused. He's banging on a massive gate, losing his cool because the thing won't budge and he has no clue where he is. He takes a closer look at the gate and realizes it's a dead ringer for the doors from Vanaheim Online, and the realization hits him like a truck. His eyes widen in pure shock as he realizes his reality is glitching out and turning into the very game that was stolen from him. Our boy Yuma is staring down this nasty little furball, and yeah, that's a Glenfang straight out of Vanaheim Online. This thing doesn't waste a second, launching itself at Yuma like a furry missile, and man, he is definitely not ready for this. The Glenfang lands a brutal hit, slashing right through his suit and leaving him clutching a fresh, bleeding wound. Yuma is in total shock, looking at the blood on his hand and wondering how the heck he's taking real damage in this nightmare. He knows he's gotta move or he's gonna be monster chow, so he scrambles away with this little freak hot on his heels. It's a straight-up chase scene now, with Yuma panting for air and the Glenfang closing the distance like a total menace. He rounds a corner and hits a fork in the road, and honestly this dungeon layout is giving me major Dark Souls vibes. No time to think, he just picks a path and sprints for his life, hoping he doesn't run into anything even worse. He finally finds a heavy wooden door and collapses against it, just trying to catch his breath and figure out why his life turned into a survival horror game. He looks up at the gate and realizes it's a perfect copy of the dungeon doors from the game, and the realization is just crushing him. Our boy Yuma is staring down this nasty little furball, and yeah, that's a Glenfang straight out of Vanaheim Online. He's completely losing his mind, realizing that the game he poured his life into is now bleeding into the real world. Just when he thinks it can't get any weirder, he stumbles upon a mysterious pedestal holding a glowing, ancient-looking book. Yuma approaches the stand, his heart pounding, wondering how this legendary item ended up sitting right in front of him. He gets a good look at the cover and realizes it's the fabled Ludian's Journal of 1,000 Nights. He flips through the pages, totally stunned because even as a hardcore player, he's never seen this item in the game before. The journal starts showing him flashbacks of some chaotic adventures, like a wild mushroom hotpot party with a bunch of witches. Then it shows a totally random memory of a high-stakes fishing duel against a monster, which is just peak absurdity. It even reveals the NPC got banned from the Beastman Rogue Guild for straight-up cheating at a card game. What a legend. Yuma can't help but burst out laughing, finally finding something actually fun and interesting in this absolute dumpster fire of a situation. We're thrown back to the office grind, where Yuma's boss is literally manhandling him like he's some kind of punching bag. Then the journal flashes back to those witches, and you can tell Yuma's just staring at them with pure, unadulterated envy. Back in the present, our boy is still bleeding out, but he's got this wild look in his eyes like he's finally ready to snap. Suddenly, this glowing book just manifests out of thin air, and Yuma's looking at it like it's the Holy Grail. He's totally confused, wondering what the heck is going on as the light starts engulfing his entire field of vision. The energy starts surging through him, and he's actually feeling his wounds knit back together. It's like he's hitting a save point in real life. Boom, he's fully transformed into the ancient Joker, looking like he just stepped out of a high fantasy cutscene. He's checking out his new threads, totally baffled that he's been thrust into this player role without any warning. He pulls up his UI and realizes he's got a gamer job that wasn't even in the original game, which is a total mindbender. Before he can even process his new stats, he hears that nasty Glenfang coming back for round 2 and the tension is back on. Our boy is standing there totally lost in thought, wondering if being a player actually gives him the stats to throw hands. Suddenly, the door literally explodes inward, and that nasty Glenfang comes flying in like a furry cannonball. Yuma realizes he's backed into a corner and knows it's kill or be killed at this point. He remembers everything he learned from Vanaheim Online, realizing his game knowledge is his biggest weapon right now. He gets into a battle stance, finally locking in and deciding he's gonna win this fight no matter what. He realizes that if this is basically a VR game, he just needs to find a way to exploit the mechanics to survive. He grabs a rock and hurls it at the monster, trying to test if he can actually land a hit. The Glenfang just brushes it off like it's nothing, screeching as it prepares to pounce on him again. The monster leaps through the air, closing the gap in a blur of speed, and Yuma knows he's gotta step it up. He realizes a tiny pebble isn't gonna cut it, so he grabs a handful of rocks, ready to try something way more creative. Our boy Yuma is absolutely shredding this Glenfang, landing critical hit after critical hit like he's playing a high-speed rhythm game. With the monster finally down for the count, Yuma realizes his high luck stat is the real MVP of this entire situation. He takes a quick peek at his UI, confirming that his stats are low, but his potential to chain attacks is exactly what he needs to survive. He snags a sharp fragment from the defeated beast, feeling his attack power tick up just like he's grinding for gear in an MMO. Yuma is getting hyped, channeling that main character energy as he prepares to strike with everything he's got. He lunges forward, putting that new gear to work and delivering a clean, decisive blow to the monster. The The Glenfang lets out a final, pathetic screech as it dissipates into thin air, leaving Yuma standing tall in the dungeon. He's buzzing with adrenaline, realizing he actually pulled off the win and managed to survive his first real-world encounter. The system hits him with that sweet, sweet level-up notification, and his stats jump across the board like he just popped a rare buff. Yuma is looking absolutely fired up, finally realizing that he's not just a corporate drone anymore. He's a player in a world he actually understands. Our boy Yuma is standing before the dungeon gate, dead set on making it out of this nightmare in one piece. He's staring down that swirling purple portal, realizing that if he wants to escape, he's gotta take down the boss waiting on the other side. Just as he's psyching himself up, a familiar, annoying presence steps out of the shadows behind him. It's his old boss, Tatsuka, showing up like a bad penny to ruin Yuma's focus. This guy is acting like he's on a corporate retreat, bragging about how he's already leveled up to a warrior and is loving the new reality. Tatsuka is straight up power tripping, telling Yuma he's officially been demoted to human shield duty for the upcoming boss fight. Yuma is completely stunned, realizing that even in a literal life-or-death dungeon, this guy is still trying to pull his corporate rank. The tension is off the charts as Tatsuka gets right in his face, reminding him that in their twisted dynamic, the boss's word is law. It's a total flashback to their toxic office days, with Tatsuka looming over him like a predator ready to strike. And just like that, the scumbag literally kicks our boy into the boss room, proving that some people never change, even at the end of the world. Our boy Yuma is absolutely spiraling, breathing heavy while that massive shadow looms over him like something straight out of a nightmare. And there it is, the Glenfang is back and looking even more pissed off, ready to turn our guy into a midnight snack. The beast lunges with zero hesitation, its claws swiping through the air like it's trying to delete Yuma from the server. Yuma barely manages to dodge, but that purple energy blast clips him, and you can tell he's feeling the heat of this boss fight. Meanwhile, that scumbag Tatsuka is just leaning against the wall, acting like he's watching a movie and waiting for Yuma to get chewed up. The Glenfang winds up for a massive strike, its tail whipping around with enough force to wreck the entire room. That tail connects, sending Yuma flying across the floor. Man, this guy just can't catch a break. Yuma is hitting his limit, thinking about how he's actually gotten stronger but still feels like he's just a pawn in someone else's sick game. But then something shifts, a golden light starts sparkling in the air, and you can tell our guy is about to stop playing nice. Yuma looks up, eyes locked on that mysterious light, finally realizing he's got a way to flip the script on this whole disaster. Out of nowhere, this mysterious, bearded guide pops up, looking like a total legend and calling our boy the Chosen One. Yuma is just standing there, completely mind-blown, wondering who the heck this ethereal dude is and why he's showing up now. The guide brushes off the questions, basically telling Yuma that his identity doesn't matter as much as the fact that he's officially a player. The guide starts floating around him, dropping some cryptic advice about needing to have more fun while offering to share some of his own power. Meanwhile, that scumbag Tatsuka is lurking in the shadows, looking totally confused and annoyed by the weird vibe in the room. The boss monster is just standing there frozen, and Yuma is staring at it, trying to figure out if this is a glitch or a golden opportunity. Tatsuka loses his cool, screaming at Yuma for talking to himself and demanding he just hurry up and get himself killed by the boss. Yuma locks eyes with the guide, finally realizing that this is the moment he stops being a victim and starts playing the game for real. The guide keeps the lesson going, showing Yuma exactly how to trigger a skill, like he's a pro gamer teaching a total noob the ropes. With the guide's help, Yuma finally taps into that power and the boss monster lunges, ready to see what our boy is actually made of. Our mysterious guide is dropping some serious wisdom, pointing his finger like he's about to cast a spell on the whole situation. The Glenfang is absolutely losing its mind, glowing with that nasty green energy while it stares down our boy. That little monster looks like it's ready to tear the place apart, screeching with those glowing eyes and jagged teeth. The guide floats in, casually dropping the bomb that the monster actually thinks our guy is just another low-level grunt like itself. The Glenfang is getting right up in his grill, acting like it's the king of the castle while our boy is still reeling. The guide points out that the beast is basically signaling for him to take out that scumbag Tatsuka in the background. Yuma is totally hesitant, still stuck in that old corporate mindset where he's afraid to stand up to his former boss. The guide isn't having any of it, basically telling him that titles are just garbage and everyone is just a pawn in this game. He snaps Yuma out of his office-induced PTSD, telling him to wake up because the real adventure is finally kicking off. Yuma's face lights up with a cold, calculated grin, finally accepting that he's a player and ready to wreck shop. Yuma stands tall, finally declaring his freedom while his former boss looks on, completely bewildered by the sudden shift in power. Tatsuka is absolutely losing his mind, screaming at Yuma to stop talking nonsense and get back to being cannon fodder for the boss. Yuma doesn't even flinch, looking cooler than ever as he officially cuts ties with his toxic superior, showing him who's really in charge now. Tatsuka is fuming, trying to pull the performance evaluation card like they're still stuck in a cubicle instead of a life-or-death dungeon. Yuma activates his bluff skill, and man, the visual effects are insane as he starts warping the reality around him. The skill hits and Tatsuka is left scrambling, totally disoriented as the environment shifts and his grip on reality starts to slip. Suddenly, the terrifying, glitchy manifestation of their old director looms over Tatsuka, casting a massive shadow that freezes him in his tracks. The director is straight up screaming at him, demanding to know why he's slacking off and obsessing over work quotas in the middle of a dungeon. Tatsuka is completely broken, panicking and begging for mercy from the phantom of his past, totally forgetting Yuma is even there. He's groveling on the floor, throwing Yuma under the bus just to save his own skin, proving he's still the same pathetic coward he's always been. Our boy Yuma is absolutely done with the games, giving his former boss a creepy smile before winding up for a massive haymaker. He connects with a brutal punch that sends Tatsuka's head snapping back, and you can practically hear the crunch from here. The Glenfang doesn't even care about the drama, slamming its tail into the ground with enough force to shatter the stone floor. Yuma stands his ground, looking down at the pathetic Tatsuka who's still trying to crawl away like a total coward. The monster is looming over the scene, its eyes glowing with pure malice as it prepares to finish off the broken warrior. Yuma is locked in, his eyes glowing as he channels his power to stop the beast right in its tracks. He steps up and delivers a clean, precise strike that cuts through the monster's defense like a hot knife through butter. Even the mysterious guide is impressed, giving our boy a nod of approval for finally showing some real backbone. Tatsuka is a blubbering mess, begging for his life and admitting he was dead wrong about everything. Yuma isn't having any of it, telling the guy to get lost and sending him sprinting away into the distance like a scared little puppy. Our boy Yuma is moving with some serious speed, slicing through the air like he's playing a high-stakes action RPG. He's closing in on that massive Glenfang, showing no fear as he prepares to deliver the final blow to this overgrown furball. You can see the pure adrenaline in his eyes. He's absolutely locked in and ready to end this fight on his own terms. With a clean, decisive strike, he cuts through the monster, turning the beast into nothing more than digital dust. The mysterious guide pops up to give him a little pat on the back, confirming that the boss is officially toast. The system starts spamming those sweet, sweet notifications, showing Yuma's level jump and the shiny new skills he just unlocked. He's walking out of the dungeon and back into the real world, looking like a total legend who just speedran the hardest content. He's got this massive, satisfied grin on his face, finally feeling like he's actually winning at the game of life. Meanwhile, the news is blowing up with reports about dungeons popping up all over the globe, and the world is basically losing its mind. It's total chaos out there, with monsters and dungeons turning reality into a literal game, and everyone is just trying to keep up. The world is going absolutely haywire as a brand new continent just pops up out of the ocean, and people are spotting monsters that weren't even in the game. Public service announcements are flooding the airwaves, begging everyone to keep their cool while the planet basically turns into a giant dungeon. You can see the sheer terror on the faces of regular folks as they stare up at these weird, glitchy portals manifesting in the middle of the city. Everyone is losing their minds, panicking about what this means for the future of humanity and if they're all about to get wiped out. Our boy Yuma is standing there looking like a total boss, taking in the chaos with a smirk because he knows exactly how to play this game. That mysterious guide Ludian is floating around him, telling our guy he's looking sharp and living up to the hype. Yuma gives him a nod, thanking the old geezer for having his back when things were looking grim back in the dungeon. Ludian introduces himself properly, keeping it real by saying he's just a gamer at heart, nothing more and nothing less. Yuma realizes the name matches the book he found, and he's starting to piece together that this whole situation is way deeper than he thought. Ludian tells him to stop stressing about the world ending and just start having fun, leaving our guy to decide his next big move. Yuma looks up at the city skyline and spots a dungeon tower that looks way too familiar for comfort. He realizes he's staring at the entrance to the tutorial dungeon, and a wild, chaotic plan starts forming in his head. The massive doors swing open, revealing a path that leads straight to a legendary treasure chest. A ghostly, ethereal figure appears, looking like a goddess straight out of a high fantasy cutscene. Yuma stands before the entrance, fully aware that this is the very spot where his life turned into a survival game. He turns to his guide, wondering why they're back at the starting line when they've got bigger fish to fry. Yuma reaches out to the wall, sensing the hidden, sealed room that's been taunting players for years. The guide gets a mischievous glint in his eye, clearly hyped about the legendary loot waiting behind that door. They look back at the history of the game, remembering how millions of players tried and failed to crack that chest open. It's the ultimate prize, the goddess's hidden treasure, and Yuma is finally ready to see if he can actually pull it off. Our boy Yuma is looking confident as ever, telling his guide he's finally cracked the code on how to pop that legendary chest open. The guide Ludian is totally vibing with the energy, basically telling Yuma that the whole world is his playground now. Ludian decides to take a quick breather, leaving Yuma to handle the heavy lifting while he catches some Z's. Yuma is left standing there, probably thinking about how this guy just dips whenever things get interesting. He steps into the labyrinth of beginnings, and man, the place looks just as pristine and intimidating as it did in the game. Suddenly, this glowing, ethereal goddess manifests right in front of him, looking like she's straight out of a high-budget cinematic. Yuma is totally caught off guard, realizing that the NPC is reciting the exact same lines he heard 1,000 times while playing Vanaheim Online. She's giving him the standard tutorial spiel, telling him to sharpen his skills and find the exit if he wants to survive. She reaches out to bestow a blessing upon him, and honestly, the sheer amount of light coming off her is blinding. Yuma is just standing there in total awe, completely floored by how divine and realistic this digital entity actually looks in the flesh. Our boy Yuma tips his hat with that signature smirk, looking like he's ready to absolutely dominate this tutorial. The goddess is still playing the role of the helpful NPC, guiding him toward the status screen like he's a total newbie. She keeps droning on about HP and MP, but Yuma's already 2 steps ahead, walking through the dungeon like he owns the place. She tells him to crack open the treasure chest, acting like she's surprised he's already looted the goods. Yuma's totally unimpressed with the bronze sword he pulled, basically saying he's already got better gear from his last run. The goddess gets a little salty, telling him to show some appreciation for the loot, but Yuma just shrugs it off. Suddenly, a fiery, glowing spirit manifests out of thin air, and the goddess warns him that a real fight is about to go down. She tells him to get his head in the game and ready his weapon, because this isn't just a walk in the park anymore. Yuma doesn't even blink, swinging his blade to swat away the incoming attack while the goddess reminds him he needs to struggle to actually level up. She gives him a polite pat on the back for his first win, but she's already moving on to the next challenge before he can even catch his breath. Our boy Yuma is going full anime protagonist, swinging his blade with zero chill while the goddess looks on, absolutely losing her mind. He's not holding back at all, slicing through the air like he's trying to speedrun the entire dungeon in one go. The sheer force of his strikes is literally cracking the dungeon walls. This guy is turning the place into a construction site. The goddess is straight up panicking now, screaming at him to stop wrecking her sacred space like he's a toddler in a china shop. Yuma's got that look in his eye, realizing he's pushed the goddess to her breaking point and things are about to get real spicy. Suddenly, the vibe shifts to pure horror as the black goddess of wrath manifests, looking like a total raid boss from hell. The goddess is frantic, explaining that this dark entity is basically what happens when she loses her cool and lets the rage take the wheel. Seeing them side by side, it's honestly creepy how much they look like 2 sides of the same twisted coin. Yuma's flashing back to the game, remembering how players used to get absolutely wrecked by this boss and her legendary loot drops. And just like that, the system confirms the drop, the Crown of Thorns, the ultimate key to unlocking the secrets of that sealed room. Yuma stares up at the tower, finally realizing that the so-called eternal prison is just the tutorial dungeon he's been grinding through. He turns to the goddess with a cocky grin, calling her out because he knows she's been hiding the truth about that treasure chest all along. She tries to play it cool and act innocent, but you can tell she's sweating bullets as she tries to pivot the conversation to basic skills. Yuma isn't buying her act for a second, and he decides to show her exactly how much he's learned by slashing right through the dungeon wall. The goddess finally snaps, and that sweet, golden aura turns into a nightmare as she transforms into the terrifying black goddess of wrath. Yuma doesn't even flinch, looking totally hyped because he knows he's finally triggered the boss fight he's been hunting for. The black goddess is absolutely losing her mind, screaming at him because she's sick of running this same tutorial loop every single day. She's looking like a total demon queen now, eyes glowing red with pure rage as she warns him that he's crossed the line. She lets out a blood-curdling screech, lunging at him with those sharp claws like she's trying to delete him from existence. Yuma meets her head-on, parrying the strike with his blade in a massive clash of sparks that shows he's ready to take on the big leagues. The black goddess of wrath swings her blade with insane speed, forcing our boy to dodge for his life. Yuma realizes he's way out of his league, admitting that a raid boss at his current level is basically a death sentence. The monster is relentless, closing the gap and forcing him into a corner where he's got nowhere to run. She's moving so fast that Yuma can barely track her, and he's already panicking because he knows he can't dodge the next hit. The blade connects, and blood starts flying as the boss lands a brutal, clean strike on our guy. She's cackling like a maniac, absolutely loving the chaos and admitting she's been waiting to unleash this kind of carnage on someone. The boss is fuming, ranting about how she's been forced to repeat this same tutorial loop over 8,000 times. She's clearly at her breaking point, looking absolutely terrifying as she screams in pure, unadulterated frustration. Yuma is left stunned, watching as the situation takes a wild turn and the boss suddenly shifts her focus. Turns out our boy's bluff skill was the ultimate play, and he's standing there holding the crown of thorns like a total legend. Yuma holds up the crown of thorns, looking at those jagged spikes like he's finally got the ultimate cheat code in his hand. The goddess is absolutely shook, clutching her head in total disbelief that this guy actually managed to snag the key. Our boy is just living his best life, laughing his head off because he's finally having some real fun in this crazy world. With a cocky smirk, Yuma tips his hat and tells the goddess he's officially claiming the hidden treasure for himself. He carefully inspects the crown, realizing this little piece of gear is the only thing standing between him and the big loot. Suddenly, the massive doors to the secret chamber start creaking open, letting out a mysterious glowing mist. Yuma can't believe his eyes, shouting out in excitement as the seal finally breaks and the path forward clears. The legendary chest itself pops into view, radiating so much golden light it's like he's staring directly into the sun. He stands before the prize, heart racing as he wonders if the rumors about this treasure are actually true. Boom, he hits the jackpot and pulls the ring of the goddess's protection, a literal get-out-of-jail-free card that saves his life when he's on the brink of death. Our boy Yuma is absolutely buzzing, holding up that legendary ring like he just found the ultimate cheat code for the entire game. He's inspecting the loot with a magnifying glass, his eyes wide as he realizes this isn't just some random drop, it's the real deal. The sheer quality of the item has him totally speechless, and you can tell he's already calculating how much this is going to break the game. Meanwhile, deep in the dungeon, the goddess is knocked out cold on the floor, looking like she just took a massive L. She starts to stir, clutching her head and wondering how she ended up face down in the dirt in her own domain. A quick flashback shows her losing her cool and snapping, which clearly didn't end well for her divine dignity. She's looking around, totally confused and trying to figure out why the vibe in the room feels so off. Suddenly, she spots our guy Yuma just casually chilling and swimming in her private spring like he's at a local pool. She absolutely loses it, screaming at him to get out and demanding to know what the heck he thinks he's doing in her sacred water. Yuma just brushes her off with a cheeky grin, telling her he's been waiting to take a dip in this spring forever. What an absolute madman. The goddess is straight up shook, staring at that open chest like she's seen a ghost. She catches Yuma just chilling in her sacred spring, and you can practically see her divine patience evaporating into thin air. She's staring at the empty box, totally baffled that our boy actually had the self-control to leave the loot behind. Yuma just shrugs it off, telling her he didn't want to swipe something that clearly meant the world to her. He's looking at the ring, realizing it's ancient as heck, but it was so well maintained he almost missed the significance. The goddess is left speechless, her divine composure totally shattered by this unexpected act of restraint. We get a quick trip down memory lane to a sunny, peaceful day where the goddess and her squad were just hanging out. It's a total flashback to the forging process, where they were crafting these rings like they were making friendship bracelets. The girls are all hyped up, showing off their matching gear and acting like they're the ultimate squad goals. They're all holding hands, showing off those rings and proving that even deities have their own little sentimental traditions. We're getting a sweet flashback to the good old days when the goddess and her crew were just living their best lives, free to roam wherever they wanted. She's holding that legendary ring, looking back on the time when she actually had some agency before the whole tutorial system locked her down. Back in the present, she's staring at the ring, admitting she tucked it away because she thought she'd never need it again. Yuma's standing there, dropping some truth bombs about how she's basically been a prisoner in her own dungeon this entire time. He's really hitting home with the empathy, telling her he totally gets the struggle because he's been a corporate slave himself. The goddess is looking completely stunned, like she's never had anyone actually acknowledge her pain before. Yuma's pushing the point, asking her why she doesn't just try to have a little fun instead of sticking to the rigid rules of the dungeon. He starts listing off some wild ideas, like building secret mazes or just changing her vibe, trying to get her to see that life is more than just a grind. He reaches out, telling her she doesn't have to be chained to her duty anymore, and you can tell she's finally starting to crack. She finally agrees with him, and in a total power move, she hands over the ring of the goddess's protection to our boy Yuma. Yuma gently takes the legendary ring from the goddess, and honestly, it's a total power move for our boy. The goddess is beaming with a genuine smile, finally feeling like she's passed the torch to someone who actually gets it. Yuma stands up, ready to head out, and tells her he'll definitely be back to hang out again soon. She warns him that the world outside is crawling with enemies, so he better keep his guard up. Yuma pauses to ask the big question: how exactly did the world turn into this chaotic mess in the first place? The goddess admits she's just as clueless, only knowing that a mysterious voice pulled her out of the game world. Yuma processes the info, realizing there's some higher power pulling the strings behind the scenes. He decides to stop overthinking the cosmic drama and just focus on enjoying the ride for now. The goddess agrees to embrace that same mindset, looking like she's finally ready to break free from her own rules. A few days later, some random guild members walk into the dungeon and are totally losing their minds because the place is decked out like a party. The goddess just straight up left a sign saying she's out, basically turning the dungeon into a DIY tutorial zone. These random adventurers are totally losing their minds, realizing the goddess is just doing whatever she feels like these days. Our boy Yuma is just chilling in the doorway, watching the chaos unfold while his floating guide buddy hangs out by his side. Ludian tells Yuma that things are looking good, and our guy is already wondering where he should head next to keep the momentum going. He spots a news report about a brand new continent popping up, and he decides that's exactly where he needs to be. Yuma's got that look in his eye, convinced that the new continent is going to be the most exciting place to test his skills. Ludian is all for it, hyping Yuma up and telling him to play the world like it's his own personal sandbox. Yuma just flashes a confident grin, totally ready to dive headfirst into whatever madness is waiting for him out there. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing with a call from Suwa, one of his old gaming buddies, and you can tell something is definitely wrong. Yuma's face goes dark the second he hears Suwa begging for help, and you just know our guy is about to jump back into the action. Yuma is absolutely losing his mind on the phone, trying to figure out why his buddy is in such a massive panic. We see poor Suwa, a total top-tier gamer, huddled on the ground and looking like he's about to get deleted by something way out of his league. Yuma doesn't waste a single second, sprinting into action because he knows his friend is in deep trouble. A quick flashback shows Suwa in his prime, proving this dude is a total legend who shouldn't be struggling with any basic dungeon. Back in the present, a massive, terrifying claw looms over Suwa, making it clear that this beginner dungeon is a total death trap. Yuma is staring at the situation in pure disbelief, wondering how a hardcore pro like Suwa ended up getting bodied by a random monster.